Hello and welcome to another edition of For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest today is an old friend, in from the West Coast, and she started a new organization. She's co-founder of Empowered Voices. Her name is Stephanie Brooks. First time on the show, so welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How
Glad to
are
be
you?
here. I'm well. How are you?
Jet lag, or actually, you're coming in from Boston. You drove down, right?
Yes, I came in from Boston,
Okay.
but I originally am
Right,
in
from
Seattle area, so
right. But
I've
actually,
been here for a few
at
days.
some point, you were in Connecticut too, right?
I was, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to live here about 15 years ago.
Tell us about Empowered Voices. It's actually a two-prong approach. Tell us all about it.
It is. Empowered Voices is a collaboration with myself as a prevention specialist and a Broadway actress, Janine DeVita, who is also the co-founder with myself.
And we'll meet her in the second segment.
Yes, and basically what we've done was we came together with our expertise and all of our experiences to combine theatrical prevention is what we've put together. So taking prevention education and using the creative arts, we've combined the two in order to deliver the message to audiences, larger audiences, by getting together with smaller groups and teaching them specifics about certain things. So under the umbrella of resiliency, we basically are teaching them specifics like anti-bullying, suicide prevention, sexual assault prevention, substance abuse prevention.
All of that. All
yes.
under the umbrella.
Yes.
It may sound unique, theater, performance with a sort of a educational or almost a psychological base, but it actually isn't a new concept, is it? It actually has been done before, right?
Actually, yes, it has. Back in the 70s, Augusto Boal is actually the father of this, where he has put out a framework called Theater of the Oppressed. And I became interested in that after studying some educational leadership where I'm going to school at University of Washington.
You are on your way to becoming having a PhD, correct?
It's an educational doctorate, yeah.
Doctor. So I'll be calling you Dr. Brooks at some point, right?
You can.
Okay.
You can.
All right. So, all right. So that's how it kind of, it's sort of its phoenix, how it became developed was way back when, right?
Yes. So what was happening was under a legal point, he actually took it from Freire, another author who did the pedagogy of the oppressed. And it came from a legal and a political view. And it was really to get people to have a voice and to have this power of speaking up. And so he took that concept from that and actually developed the stage presence. And I'm going to have actually my co-founder, my partner, business partner, talk more about that because she is the expert in the theater field. But it definitely came from that. I started studying some stuff in regards to critical race theory, and so I was really into looking at the different concepts of how we can help people who are oppressed. And that's really where it came to light. And in my last year, I was doing a project for, I had to come up with a strategic project, which I had to propose to the class and to our professors about a special program that we could use. And so I took that kind of step outside the boundary and said, you know what, we have a need for education. We have a high recidivism rate for kids who are, going into juvenile detention centers and going back because they don't have good mentorship and things like that. And so I came up with some ideas, and I met with actually some Fifth Avenue educators, and we had really good conversations about what we could do with education and theater. And they were kind of like, oh, this is great, and it kind of really unfolded from there because right at that time, literally a few weeks later, I met Janine.
See, and that's the thing. You could have those ideas, but in order to pull it off, you have to have the right person. You know what you wanted to do.
Yes,
it was always going around
absolutely.
in your mind, but you had to have the right person to do
To
this
merge it.
project with, to merge it, and to have that stage presence, right?
Absolutely.
And to talk about it from there.
Absolutely.
And so how did that happen?
So basically what I did was I was kind of putting my feelers out, and I went to an after party, and I met actually most of the cast. I had not met Janine at that point, and they were talking about their upcoming show. And I'm like, this is great. I'm going to get back into this. I would like to see this. And so I was really inspired because I was having a difficult time thinking about what I wanted to do with my schooling. It was one of those times where I just thought, this is just getting too much for me.
And where do you go with it? You have the education, but you need to see a light somewhere into what direction to
Yes,
go, right?
and so that's where I was kind of like, I'm stuck. What am I going to do? and I was having a real hard time trying to frame what it was that I wanted to do. And right after that conversation, I did my proposal back in January. No, it was back in November of 2015, and it went off great. And from that point, I know I had reached out to Janine. I had just seen her on stage. And
What was she doing on stage?
she's actually on tour,
Okay.
the first national tour of If Then, a Broadway show. And I was blown away seeing her on stage, thinking, oh my gosh, this is great. So I actually reached out to her for just some information and advice about the things I was doing so that I could kind of get involved. And we had a conversation.
Just hit it off, right?
Really hit it off. She came with so much expertise and knowledge. She had already been doing stuff like this.
And also, she was passionate as you
So,
were about
yeah,
it, right?
absolutely.
So
And-
this was
and
a
core-
match that had to
It
happen.
really was, and the core values is what set for me because I had a lot of other people who were really interested in this, but I'm that person who has to have that match of somebody who has to be passionate and truthful, and I just felt that, and it was literally, it just kind of took off. She just really wanted to do something with outreach and helping other people, and she was so involved with her fans, and that was just something that I was like, this is a good person, and we just started talking about different things that we could do with this program, and it just started to come to light from
And
that
you
point.
have to have somebody with that kind of passion. If you see them trying to reach out and get in the heads of young people maybe and maybe steer them in the right direction, they can't be just going through the motions. You have to be able to, on stage or in the office setting, you have to have that passion for it.
You do.
And in different ways, you both have that.
Yes, yes, you do. And so when I was here in Connecticut, that was kind of something I started to do, but it was myself, and it was, kind of this new thing of Stephanie, oh, here she goes with her little creative extravaganzas, and I'd go off and
And
do all
will
these
it
things.
go anywhere?
And will it go anywhere? And so I did a lot of different projects, mini projects.
In that vein?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
In your field.
In my
Yeah.
field, and so working with youth, and I saw that mentorship piece was so important, and that was my passion. I really wanted to do that, and so when I met Janine, and saw that this is what her passion was, and evidence of it. I mean, all over, her fans adore her, and she gives advice to them, and just it really struck me as this is going to be something great. And so I met with her because we were doing something else over on the military post, and I had wanted something like this to occur. And Stephanie could do little pieces herself, but you can't, you bring in a Broadway actress who's well known, you're like, okay, here we go. And
It
who
steps
has
it up,
tenfold, right?
Yeah.
And so I recommended her, and I talked about it. I came up with like this framework of all these ideas of what we could do. And they said, okay, let's go ahead and do that. And I approached her, and she's like, of course I could do that. And she, it was without a glitch.
What was the military's thought on it, or where you were going to perform?
So the military at first was kind of like, oh,
Did they not understand it?
They understood it. They just thought, okay, how is this going to work? Because they had little pieces of it, and I had been really trying to get something like this going. And they have other people who come in and do things like this.
Talk.
Yeah. And so they were just kind of like, okay, our big thing is, can we fill a theater, and are they going to get something out of it? So working together, came up with this plan of action where we would actually make it meaningful and measurable so that we could actually say this is what occurred. And it was the right strategies that we used to get the information out to people. And it actually was fantastic because I've been there for 5 years, and we have other people come in, famous comedians and things like that. And our audience holds, I want to say, like 942 people. And if we got 700, we thought we were pretty lucky.
Yeah.
And I do know for a fact that they stopped counting, turning away 220 people.
Wow,
It
when
was packed.
when you overfill your theater, you got a good show going there.
Yeah, yes. And so people were just like, okay, this sounds really interesting. And the great part about it was the feedback that came back was overwhelming. It was amazing, the inspirational information that was delivered to us.
Now, your idea, and when this all came together, at the same time, you would look around and you would see the other methods of information that is getting out there to young people and people in general regarding prevention. What are your thoughts on the way that other people and other organizations are doing it? Is it wrong, or did you just want to add to it, or do you feel that your way is unique and maybe it can reach some people that other methods are not reaching them?
I think really what it was is that because everybody's so individual, and I think of like Howard Gardner and his different types of learning abilities, and he does everything from music to kinesthetic learning. And I was thinking about how we have to approach individuals in different ways. And so I would try different things. And I had another partner that I worked with for the military, and we constantly were getting feedback. What is it you need? What can we do to make it better? And so we kept twisting little things, and every time we twisted, and the feedback we received was great as far as when we were so interactive with our audiences.
Right, that's key.
And so I was like, and my gut was like, no, we got to do this. And I've always believed that, anytime I get up and I speak, that was like my stage. I was never, when I was younger, I was in theater, and that
Right.
was always something I wanted to do, but it wasn't anything that I really pursued. And so,
But you're acting as opposed to like you're almost stating fact when you're on stage now if you're talking about this, right?
right,
Yeah.
but we're delivering it in a creative way, so
Right.
it's almost like people don't even understand. They're not thinking that they're actually learning, but they are.
Right.
They are. They're
Especially
walking
with
away.
kids, you don't want them to think they're learning anything. You want them to think it's it's
Absolutely.
entertainment, right?
You do,
Yeah.
and so you want to get them involved. And so I wouldn't say other people are doing things wrong. I think we just need to step outside the box, and we need to be able to approach things differently.
So in a very succinct way, we don't have a lot of time left in your segment. What
Okay.
exactly, if someone says, what exactly do you offer? What do you say to them?
I say we offer a variety of things under the umbrella of resiliency and mentorship. We have everything from the vocal coaching of a person to really encourage them and inspire them to be their best, because maybe they want to pursue that dream of being an actor or singer. And so Janine is really there for that piece, and she does other things with her master classes she'll talk more about. But then we have the other piece that I do with the traditional education, where it's more the sit down, but it's still very interactive, but it doesn't bring it all the way to the full fold of this theatrical prevention education that we have kind of put together. And so we have the best of both sides, and we kind of merge it. We kind of bridge it. And it's kind of funny because, I'm on the West Coast, and I'm in Seattle, and she's in New York. So we're kind of like this bridge across America.
Yeah. That's a long
And
flight, by the way.
It
Yeah,
is, but
yeah.
you know what? We're bridging them all, and we're bringing them all together, and so we have all these different pieces. So we start from each end of the spectrum, and then we merge it to bring something even bigger and better. So the services are available for.
And if the people want to
those people.
request your services, what do they do?
So they can go to our website, and we are at www.empoweredvoices.com, but there is a hyphen in between empowered and
So
voices.
empowered-voices.
Empowered-voices.
And we'll put a graphic up on the screen.
That would be
So
great.
You guys also have a Facebook page too. So
We do,
okay.
yes. So you can look at Facebook, Evie, Tell Your Story, and there's a lot of great information on there, especially the different piece that we do is making sure that it is measurable. So we use an actual theoretical, actually a conceptual framework called strategic prevention framework, so that we do everything from the assessment to capacity building to evaluation. So this way we are targeting the cultural piece of it and making sure that we are sustaining change and reevaluating it so that we're doing the best we can for our customers.
Excellent. Stephanie Brooks, co-founder of Empowered Voices. Thanks for spending a few minutes with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Sean.
We'll take a break and then get to the theatrical side of this endeavor when we come back. I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Stay right there. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm Sean Murphy. My guest for the second segment is the other co-founder of Empowered Voices. She's a stage actress, currently on tour right now. We'll get into that in a little bit. Her name is Janine DeVita. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you're the stage person, everything that we talked about with Stephanie. Would you like to add to that from your perspective of the stage? Or from the stage?
Well, Stephanie brings such a wonderful educational background and academic background to this company. And when we met, I was so taken with her passion for the theater arts as well as education. And I've taught a lot on the side in addition to being a performer. I've taught for the past 8 years at University of Michigan at programs. I've taught all over the country. And I am very passionate about it, especially with kids. And so it was very special, this meeting of these two similar but different minds.
Coming from different directions to hopefully accomplish the same goal, the same mission, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. To empower people to express themselves and to motivate change within society. And so the theatrical part of it is really about this creative self-expression and stepping outside your comfort zone and really trying to kind of think as an actor when you're assessing a situation. Those are the kind of the things that I wanted to bring to this prevention education element that is so unique to Empowered Voices.
Now, do you find, we were talking about in the second segment, that doing it your way almost makes it not seem like it's a learning experience for young people? It's almost like entertainment.
Oh, totally.
And so they'll buy into it a
Oh,
little
totally.
more. Yeah.
It's like putting on a play.
Yeah.
And it's like watching a play. But what's different about our education prevention, prevention education, is that it's very much interactive, and there's no such thing as an audience member.
Okay, so they're not just sitting there watching you perform, so to speak. It's back and forth kind of a thing.
Yeah, completely.
I mean, it has to be that way.
Yeah, the theatrical prevention education workshop and performance that we did at a military base, JBLM, in Washington, what I did was it was both small and large groups. I met with about 10, 15 actors. We Skyped twice, and then I met with them early that morning, that one day. And what I'd done is I'd written a script, about a 25-minute script that incorporated music and everything, and it was really based on a real-life situation. This is a real-life thing that could happen in terms of sexual harassment and sexual assault prevention. This was for Sexual Assault and Sexual Harassment Prevention Month at JBLM.
So the timing worked well for
So
that.
the timing
Yeah.
worked very well. So I wrote this script and I rehearsed it with them. I blocked it, which means that's where you tell actors to go in terms of the set and everything. So I told them where to go. I gave them tips on character development. I mean, I gave them full-on acting.
These are acting classes.
This is an
Yeah.
acting 101 class that I gave to non-actors. These are military members and personnel. So it was fun for them and challenging for them to kind of pretend to be an actor for a day and to really feel like they had the power to intervene in these situations. So anyway, so we put on this performance. I acted with them. I'm sorry, I touched my mic. I acted with them.
You got to direct too, though.
Yeah, I directed it. I
Yeah.
wrote it, I directed it, I choreographed it, I coached them. And then we finished the performance. And then at the end, what makes our theatrical prevention education so different is that we asked the audience for their input. So how could things have gone differently? And the big thing with sexual assault prevention and sexual harassment prevention is bystander intervention. And what is the definition of consent? So we had these members of the Army raise their hand, and I would call to them. And granted, there were like 1,000 people in the audience that day.
Yeah.
It was incredible. It was just incredible. And they would raise their hand, and they would give us an alternative ending of how things could have gone differently, and then we would improvise it. And that's what life is, though, and that's what I think is so cool about theatrical prevention education, is that you're able to instill these techniques to kind of think like an actor does. You have to be able to improvise, you have to be able to just roll with it, but you also have to have that that impetus to act and that fire within yourself to actually act on something. And that's called your objective, and that's called your tactic in the acting world. Like, what do I want? How do I go about getting what I want? And, you know, it's not rocket science, but people who've never taken an acting class don't necessarily know that. And that can be applied to real life situations. And that's what I'm so passionate about bringing those acting techniques to people who may not know about them, and then it's just a different way of looking at uncomfortable situations in real life.
And maybe it's a way that sticks with them, stays in their head because it's unique. And instead of being lectured to or hearing or watching a PSA about it, you know, it's kind of, it becomes background noise to them after a while. But this unique way sticks with them. They understand it, they remember it, and maybe act upon it the way they should in life because of it.
Totally. And that's what Stephanie was saying under this umbrella of resiliency with prevention education. These kinds of workshops are applicable to so many different types of prevention education.
Right, you were just talking about sexual harassment, but it could be anything.
It can be bullying.
Right.
It can be domestic abuse. It can even be budgeting. It can be team building. All these kinds of things that when you actually get up out of a chair and actually act these things out, and you face your fears and you step outside your comfort zone, you find that you're a lot braver than you think, and that you can make a bigger difference than you give yourself credit for. And that's what I think was so special about these workshops that we've been doing, because we really find that these people see that, oh my gosh, this could have gone so much differently had this person just done this. And you see how those little decisions in your life really add up to the bigger picture.
Now, I want to talk about you for a second because, Stephanie was lucky to get you, someone. You're actually on tour right now. You've made stops in Providence and Boston.
I
You're
am.
coming to Hartford. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, well, I am on tour right now with a really fantastic show called If Then. And ironically, it's actually kind of similar to what I just spoke about, how like your little decisions in your life kind of add up to the big picture. That's what If Then is about. It follows this one woman named Elizabeth, and on one day she makes two different decisions. And the story follows her life simultaneously with those two different decisions, and how her life plays out based upon those decisions that she made. It's about connectivity, it's about relationships, it's about choice and chance and destiny and trusting the universe, and it's really one of the most beautiful scores I've ever heard. It's by Tom Kitt, and Brian Yorkie wrote the book, and Michael Greif directed it, who's the director of Rent and Next to Normal. It's a really fantastic show. So I play Anne in the show. Sorry, I touched my mic again. So I play Anne in the show, and it's really just been a fantastic journey. And we've played some really awesome cities: Toronto, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Dallas. It's been really fun. So we're about to wrap up mid-August.
So you'll take a break, and whatever happens after that, we'll see, right?
Yeah. That's
excited.
the life of an actress. So.
And so Empowered Voices, you're heavily involved in that, still co-founder of it. Again, I'll ask the same question. If people want to request your services somehow, some way, how do they do it?
Well, we have a website. It's www.empowered-voices.com. We also have a Facebook page, which is EV Tell Your Story. And then we have a Twitter account, which is, again, Empowered-Voices. And then we also have an Instagram. We're real big on the social medias.
No, that's important, because that's how people, a website is important to get the word out, but it's very static. Social media, people can respond back, they can interact, and they can, it's almost like a counseling session right online in a way in some cases.
For sure.
All right, good stuff. Looking forward to learning more about this, and I hope it's a great success for you, as well as your acting career.
Thank you so much.
Nice
it was
to
really
meet you.
nice to meet you.
Janine DeVita, co-founder of Empowered Voices. We thank her. We thank Stephanie Brooks in the first segment. You can see this show, by the way, and many others on our YouTube site. Till next time, I'm Sean Murphy. This is For the Record. Take care.
Great. Thanks.